Okay. Let's just get it in this way then. Oh, plugins, move VR. Manage Windows. Where's Chrome now? There it is. Is that going to work? No, it's not going to work. Oh, well, I'll just keep an eye on it. Just keep an eye on it. Streamlabs OBS is there. But restream.io is not. Never mind. One last try here. No, it doesn't want to play today. Never mind. There we go. Right, let's fly. I'll just check for messages manually every few minutes. So this is the Vulcan update. And as you can see, FPS are absolutely fantastic. I'm at a major airport surrounded by huge amounts of geometry with high settings, and I'm still getting over 30 FPS. Yep, that is the Robin. Sorry, you're not coming up in my room stream chat. Oh yeah, there you are. Right, Ashton KJ. Yeah, it's the Robin DR401. This is just a freeware version. I'm just testing Vulcan today. And the Robin's a really good way to just get around, to sort of, in an agile way, look at different things. I'm at Geneva Airport with the Sky Story orthos, and I've had an immediate improvement in FPS for VR. It used to be 22, 23. When I'm not streaming, it's up at 40. While I'm streaming, the GPU is also doing the coding. I'm at 30. So it's a really, really great change. Some of the things that aren't good, there's a few things. For a start, in-cockpit shadows have gone really low resolution. Can you see? Really low resolution shadows. And the data ref that you could usually use to manipulate that has now gone. But the control, look, there's 40, 41 FPS. And I'm not looking at the main airport. That's so cool. For VR, that's a big game changer. So what Vulcan's doing is actually loading in the textures that it thinks I'll need and the geometry that it thinks I'll need before I need it. That's when you got an FPS drop there as we went back towards the airport. Still the terrain and everything else looks good. Yeah, I know, it's fantastic. I'm absolutely not complaining. You're absolutely right to be positive. It's such a big improvement in their product. It's unbelievable. Let me just show you something. I'm Just going to show you landing now because it's so fine controlled. Let's have 2 stages of flaps we have. And if I just come down now, I mean I've got a honeycomb yoke which helps with control. But the amount of granular, because the FPS are better, I can just float and just keep it above the ground as long as possible until finally the throttles. I mean, talk about smooth. That's just wonderful. Just wonderful. It's a really, really, really different experience flying in VR now. Absolute control and absolute presence. Flaps up. How are we doing? 36 FPS. And rotate. I'll tell you what, I may never come out of my room again. Head movement smoother, that's interesting. Yes, I think you're right. It's just when you look between populated, highly populated areas and less dense areas and back again, there's absolutely no stutter or no difference between the two. Comparative performance is just off the scale, and I've actually got the settings higher than I had them before. It's not default X-Plane, it's X-Europe 3 Autogen. I've flown Orbex with the Orbex Autogen this morning before this flight, and that was also improved. I don't think it does as well as X-Europe, actually. I think the Autogen for Orbex isn't as well optimized. You can get, let me just go this way. You can get far greater density with lower performance hit with X-Europe. It goes nicely with the goes very, very nicely with the Sky Story French Alps ortho scenery that I'm using here. Let's just time increase the time without T. Just need to get back on focus X-Plane. There we go. There's Mont Blanc out there. Just going to get to the next airport. Here's Annecy. Did you see absolutely no loading lag between the two? Amazing. I'd normally get a big old stutter. I've got an NVIDIA GTX 1080, but only a 3770K CPU. That's Mont Blanc. No. Yeah, I don't think they were designed to. It's a bit Flight of the Navigator, that, isn't it? The performance of the whole X-Plane program is absolutely brilliant. They've got some graphical tweaks to do. Ground shadows from clouds are now awful as well, really flickery. They've seemed to have lowered the resolution of all the shadows for some reason. 36 FPS. That's being rendered twice, once for each eye, of course. Let's bleed off some of this speed as we lose altitude. There we are, flaps to landing. Used to run X-Vision, that's not working with this latest update. X-Vision is known not to be working. Basically it's injecting shaders that aren't compatible with Vulcan, so obviously X-Vision isn't working. But I don't mind right now because the sim to fly is so much better. So much better, like leagues better. I feel like personally writing to the Lamina research team right now. Done a great job. A lot of people still having trouble with Vulcan, of course. There'll be a lot of teething troubles because it's only the first beta. What do you think the approach speed is for landing for the... I'm a little bit high, aren't I? Let's just do that. Sorry, not purist, but there we go. Got one red light now. Yeah, what's the approach speed for the Robin? I don't actually know. Sitting here at 64. Doesn't actually matter anymore anyway because control is so much better. And throttle back and flare. Oh my god, these are some of the best landings I've ever done. Apart from the skid at the end. Flaps up. Let's go over the lake. Let's make it evening. Lake Annecy over here. It's going to change the time so we get some nice reflections. There we are. Sun glinting off the buildings. One of the other things that's changed with Vulcan is the reflections off the water. They look so much more real. I don't know what it looks like in 2D, but in VR the water reflecting the sky looks so much better. Much more realistic than it was. I guess to you that just looks like a white mass now, but in VR it's got different shades to it. Just trimming that down a little bit. Let's reduce our speed and skim the water. Yeah, move the sun with the lever. Shift and K and Shift and L, if you want to know. Let's get down to the water level. So water rendering now is fantastic. He said try not to stick the nose in the water. Let's slow it down and have one stage of flaps. There we are. There's just no stuttering. It's so bizarre to be playing X-Plane and have the rendering engine working so well. 36 FPS still at the moment. However close we are to the buildings and autogen doesn't seem to matter. And the level of control that the increased FPS gives you is absolutely unprecedented. Night lighting is great, Ashton. There is a problem with it though. Thanks for the landing speed. Solar, some witchcraft. No, Vulcan, sadly, is not a new plane, although I have got a Vulcan. But happily, it's an entirely new rendering engine that's come out for X-Plane. So the whole of X-Plane has been rewritten. The rendering engine's been rewritten anyway. And let's stick the night lighting on. Hang on a sec, trim that up so I don't fall in the water. There we go. It's back to the main screen. Focus the application and Shift and K to take it back to nighttime. So there is a problem with night lighting. Now distance night lighting. Let's have a look back to Annecy. Fantastic, nothing wrong with that. Let's go back to the airport and land at night. I think I've got my lights on. Flash and nav are on. So the problem is, can you see that road lighting's been balked? There's no road lighting. Now that might be to do with compatibilities with AutoGen, not telling the X-Plane engine properly that it's a road. But where you get a light, you do get a light dissipation around it, but it's so small, and it looks like there's a power cut everywhere on the road lighting. So roads in towns are not lit. Main roads, as you can see, are lit. That looks pretty cool, doesn't it, with the old strobe lights going on the side. So there's lots and lots of good things about this update, but the main one is this FPS, running at this level of detail and having over 30 FPS in VR. Solar, if you're listening, you need to buy X-Plane and you need to buy a VR headset, today. Ashton, that's really funny about... that is really funny about South Africa. You sent me the money, yeah, absolutely. That little detail. Right, watch this. We'll have some fun and then we'll land on the runway from the other side. So, looking at the main roads, they're lit very nicely, so that's good. Let's do some road flying and then come at the airport from the other end. We're going to bang that up to full power. I think I went through a few lampposts then. Cables! Go under these ones. Imagine the carnage in real life. But the control on this is absolutely unprecedented. My honeycomb yoke is being allowed to perform at its best because the PC isn't waiting for computations. The flight model's so much more responsive. Going through all these lampposts, aren't I? Never mind. Right, let's find that airport. I think it's back there. There we go. Puppies are all white, too high. It's not a traditional approach I took, is it? Gear is down, Solar. Happily you can't take it up on this aircraft. Oh, it's so sexy. Sorry, reading the screen instead of watching where I'm going. Let's just have a look. I can't wait for you to get your Oculus either. Yeah, it is like a truck sim. Right, love that. Let's look from the outside. Bit of plane porn now, isn't it? Edge of the light sources looks a bit ragged, doesn't it, at night? Nonetheless. Right, I'm going to turn around and try and take off in this view. Oh my god. Prepare to crash. Here we go. This is flying with the controls reversed. I made it! Oh my god. That's so hard. Let's get back inside. Oh, that's making me feel sick. Thank you, Ashton. Yeah, the taxi lights are easy to see, the nav lights are easy to see. The sensor control is so much better. Looks cool there, doesn't it? Let's get back to daytime. There's morning. Morning. There's midday. Right, let me show you the dodgy clouds. So if I go in the iOS, go under weather, clouds, I'll add a cloud layer of scattered cumulus and look at these nasty ass flickering cloud shadows. See if I can find some. Typically it's not showing any now. There we go. Look at that. I don't know if you can see that, what I'm seeing. But cloud flickering was fixed in 11.4, a few Lua flaws and an increase of the resolution of the clouds, cloud shadows, and it fixed it. Now we're back with flickering ground cloud shadows. Just going to have a look on the screen and see if you can see what I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm sure you can see that. It's like strobing. I'm sure they'll fix it. Again, not being negative, just looking at what still needs to be done. Yeah, regarding CD drives, that's kind of a thing of the past now, isn't it? I have an external one that I keep just in case I need it. It only costs 20 quid. External DVD writer. Just USB jobby. Now let's test this texture loading engine with a little bit of increase in time. So as we cross from one tile to the other, it usually has to stutter a lot to load in the next textures. It's like I'm in a little jet. You can see the autogen trying to keep up there. Oh, this will be fun. Whee! There we go. On our way to Mont Blanc, everybody. Trying not to stall while in time contraction. Will I make this ridge? Maybe if we go this way. Yeah. Let's get our speed back up. And there's been absolutely no load lag yet, has there? None whatsoever. Now this one I may not make. Let's see. Hey! Bam! Oh, superb. File that one under worth it, right? Right. While we're in, let's look at our sorry state. Oh, let's just load the TBM up now. Okay. I haven't tried the TBM. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Ah, it should be here. There it is. Right. TBM at Annecy, so it's only loading a new aircraft. It's not loading new scenery. So a lot of the problems that we're having with yeah, I've updated the TBM, Ashton. Yeah, I updated that. When was it came out? Was it yesterday? Anyway, I've got a feeling that this copy of X-Plane has crashed, so I'm going to stop the stream. It's crashing basically when you change anything at the moment, and that again is a problem with the I'll give it a couple of minutes. It's a problem with the new beta. If you change settings, it crashes. If you change aircraft, it crashes. So essentially, yeah, it crashes a lot. But it is a beta. It's the nature of the beast, I guess. But I have to say that flying now has just become an absolute pleasure. I may actually never leave virtual reality. It's like all the problems that I had before to do with landing at large airports or that sort of stuff. They've just all gone overnight, and yeah, exactly, Ashton. No one should expect it to be super stable. And this is a complete rewrite. You're absolutely correct. This is a huge update and a huge beta. I'm just absolutely immensely grateful to the Laminar research team for updating X-Plane like this, because you can tell already it's going to be great. It is great. You saw when I was landing the amount of control I had and the sort of smooth FPS as it came down to ground. X-Plane's just never ever been like that, particularly in VR where it's doing basically twice the work it's rendering for each eye. So yeah, we can all be very pleased that this is going forward. Well, I reckon that this has crashed. I'm going to stop the stream, guys. Thanks for watching, and I think that this is probably a good place to finish anyway. I'll be on later on. Take it easy, you guys, and enjoy.